Welcome back to House. So we thought we'd start today with something which is really important to just about everybody out there, and that is how to buy your first house. It's an asset. It's a very safe asset class, as we discussed in the previous chapter, and it's really difficult to do. It's never easy, and so we'll work through what we have done ourselves and how we got to actually acquiring the properties along the way. I think it's always good if people have done that themselves rather than listening to someone, well, I do this and I do that, where they really have no idea because they don't own a property. So if I was going to be taking advice, I'd really want to be taking it from someone who's acquired assets over the years. They may have been burnt once and they can inform you, because you're always better off finding the mistakes that people have made, because then you won't make them, hopefully.
If I could also add, Ben's got 25, 30 years in the property game industry, so you've seen everything, absolutely everything.
Yeah, definitely.
The bad,
Yeah,
very much the ugly.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. When I purchased my first house, I purchased my first house when I was 25. Okay, so at 25, and what happened to myself was I had no idea what I was doing because there was no one there to help me. And so I actually walked into a bank and I said, how do I borrow money? The first thing they asked me was, well, how much money do you make? And I was on quite a good income back then. And they said, right, well, if you actually make that much, we will lend you X. So back then, I think I was on 60,000.
Yep.
When I started, and the banks turned around to me and they said, we'll lend you 350,000. I remember it vividly. And I felt sick because I thought, I don't want 350,000. I only wanted 100,000. And this is 1994. So this is a long time ago. And then what happened is they said, right, what you need to do, they said, you've got no savings, right? So you need to prove to us that you can save. And they said, you need to save $15,000. And they said, how long will that take? And they said, if you could save $15,000 in 4 months, you're set. So I did. I saved $15,000 in 4 months. I was in the position to look at properties. I didn't look before then. I wanted at least a 10% deposit for my house. Okay? And I just got there. And how I saved up is I didn't go out. I bought all home brand food at the supermarket. I bought the cheapest of cheap everything that I possibly could. So that would enable me to get into the market.
Excellent. Can I ask a question on that?
Yep.
So you saved 10% for the deposit.
Yes.
Is that necessary? Can you provide 5% or less than 10%? Like, what's the rules?
Yeah, they can, but you've got to be really careful. We've seen low doc loans here in Australia. I think low doc loans are everywhere. And so what that means, some people were acquiring property with no deposit. And with no deposit, you were just in for a world of pain. Then you have mortgagees insurance. So, and that costs thousands of dollars. And then you have all the taxes and everything else on top of it. But you are always better off with a 10% deposit. If you have 10% deposit, you don't need mortgagees insurance. And you will normally be able to negotiate a better interest rate.
Yep.
On what you need to borrow. Because if you're desperate, they could double the interest rates on you. And you're so desperate to buy a property, you just do it and you think, I'll refinance it in 12 months.
Yeah.
You don't. You get into so much trouble, and then you find out what stress is really about. And we see it all the time with people. My phone just rings with people and they're not too sure what to do, etc. So the safest way to play it is save 10%, And 10% is a lot of money to save now. It's really is.
Especially when the average house cost in Australia, I mean in Melbourne in particular, that we're talking about 750,000.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's hard to say, 75K. It's a lot of money, but you'll be glad you did. And the one thing I found with saving money, the more you save, the easier it gets. And it sounds really weird, but you start off small and you'll have $1,000 and then it's 2,000. Before you know it, it's 10. And it's amazing. Something seems to happen where it seems to increase quite quickly. And you actually are able to sit back and it makes you feel really good too. So been there, done it, worked for me.
Yeah, and today a lot of the financial institutions, the banks, for example, have very sophisticated and easy systems in place that you can get. Let's say you're in a wage and your employer pays you, I don't know, once a month on a Tuesday. A portion of that goes straight to a savings account that is dedicated for your mortgage. That's quite easy.
Yeah, definitely. And at the end of the day, the banks want to give you money because that's how they make money. But they just need to make sure that they lower their risk, meaning that you're a good bet and they feel that you can afford the loan and you can make the repayments, because it's a very expensive exercise for the bank to end up going through courts and all the rest of it. And it's very unpleasant for everyone.
Fantastic. I think next, or in another episode in the future, we're going to discuss the difference between fixed and variable rates, interest rates.
Yeah, definitely. You can do that now.
Absolutely.
Or not? Yeah.
Okay.
So it was interesting. So when I purchased my first property, interest rates were 8%.
Yep.
Okay. And the banker I was sitting there, he said, Ben, interest rates are at 8% and they could go to 10. He said, are you going to be okay? And I thought, I'm borrowing 80,000. I make 60,000. I said, yeah, I think I'm going to be okay. And of course I was. What happened after 2 years, interest rates, the news, they were talking about how everything's going to increase, interest rates and all the rest, and I fixed it. So I fixed my interest rate. I think I fixed it at about 9.5% because they were talking it's going to go up over 12%, all the rest. Well, it didn't. It actually started to drop. And then before too long, it was back down to 7%. And then
does that mean you're paying out, in this example, real example, at, what was it, 10.5% or whatever it was?
Yeah, 9.5%,
and actually dropped.
Yeah,
but you're paying for the privilege to having to fix it. So effectively, you're paying more than you should have.
Yeah, exactly right. And this is what happens. And I thought, oh gosh, I don't want to be paying 9.5%, and I could be paying 7%. So I broke the contract.
Surely it cost you.
It did. It cost me thousands.
Yep.
Back then, and so by that time, I was making even more money, but. And I thought, look, I'll just wear it. I think it probably cost me a month's salary.
Sure.
Which was a lot of money to me.
But you did the calculation, long term you're better off because you're paying a lower interest rate.
100%. Yep. And then it just kept dropping and then it stayed low.
Yep. So nowadays, have a split. It's not all fixed, it's not all variable, right?
Yep.
So you could have 80% fixed or whatever it may be, 50, 50, 50 fixed, 50 variable. So you're basically protecting yourself to a point.
Yeah, definitely. Because no one knows what's going to happen. You really don't. The Reserve Bank here in Australia said interest rates won't be going up until the end of 2024. So many people went out buying properties and all the rest, and they really shouldn't have been buying properties. They had very low incomes, low deposits, and they've just been caught out, and they're in a lot of trouble here at the moment. So
if I can just explain.
Yep.
They fixed the interest rate when it was at, call it 2%.
Yeah.
All-time low. Absolutely. Because coronavirus dropped the rates, everything to stimulate the economy. But now they're coming off those 2-3 fixed interest rate periods, and now they're absolutely exposed.
Yeah, 6.5%, 7%.
So all of a sudden they're paying out, call it, I don't know, $1,500, $2,000 a week. And now they're paying out triple that amount.
Correct.
Sorry, a month. Triple that amount. Well, difficult.
Yeah, there's a lot of pain. That's right. And so that is something to be very mindful of. So actually, with the next episode, what we'll do is we're going to discuss, okay, I want to buy a property.
Yes.
Okay. How do I go about it?
Okay. As in securing the property.
Yeah, for sure. How do I get to my deposit?
Sure. Absolutely. Okay. Looking forward to see you tuning in for our next episode. Thank you.
See you guys. Any comments, please leave them up there. Thanks. Bye.